is Aftertouch? Well, Aftertouch is a real-time performance control that you can find on a lot of electronic keyboards. There are two types. One type is called mono, the other type is called poly, or it's called channel aftertouch and poly aftertouch. They all kind of mean the same thing, and the word pressure also substitutes for the word aftertouch. And what is it? Well, it's after you struck a key, and that's why it's called aftertouch. The pressure that you add after you've struck a key is something that's measurable by a strip that's underneath, and it can measure the pressure, or its individual sensors under each. And the kind that has one strip that measures everything is called mono aftertouch or mono pressure. And that means that no matter which key you press hard on, all of the keys are going to respond the same way. And now I'm going to place some notes on the bottom and do the same thing on the top, and you're going to hear that the notes on the bottom are going to do the same thing. But maybe I don't want that. Maybe I want to be able to individually take a note and bring it out in a mix. So what I'm going to do now is change this to Polyphonic Aftertouch. So it seems like it works the same way if I only hit one note. And now, because I'm in Polyphonic Aftertouch, I'm going to be able to play those low notes, press the high note, and only bring out the high note, or only bring out the low notes, or any of the individual notes of the low notes. It's all individual at that point. So it's really good for bringing out a particular line that you want to accent. I can do it to volume, I can do it to filter, but remember that this is just a controller. So when I'm pressing on Aftertouch, what I'm really doing is turning the cutoff knob. It's the same thing. It's that I have Aftertouch assigned to the cutoff knob, and so it's doing that. So the two important things you have to have in order to play with Aftertouch is, one, you have to have a keyboard that transmits either mono or poly Aftertouch, and then presumably the synth that has that also receives poly or mono Aftertouch. But then I have these other devices that have no keyboard at all. But I happen to know that the Dreadbox Nymphes 6-voice analog synthesizer does receive both mono and poly Aftertouch. And I know that the Nanobox series, this is one of them from 1010 Music, this is the Lemondrop, and it receives both poly and mono Aftertouch. So we'll play with those as well. And then lastly, it's possible to have a keyboard that doesn't transmit either mono or poly Aftertouch, but receives it. So if you had, for example, this ASM Hydrosynth, controlling another keyboard that doesn't actually physically have keys that transmit Aftertouch, but receives Aftertouch, you could play that synth with this keyboard and then do the Aftertouch tricks. So now I have the Nymphes 6-voice analog synthesizer MIDI to the ASM Hydrosynth. So I'm coming out to the in. I'm going to set it so that the filter responds to Aftertouch. And the way you do that is I can see down here that Aftertouch is number 6. So I hit menu and I turn to number 6. And now any of the sliders that I move are going to make Aftertouch move that slider. So for example, if I put the filter all the way down, as I turn this slider up, you're going to hear Aftertouch moving the filter more. Now I'm currently in a mono Aftertouch mode, so any of the notes I press down are going to affect all of the notes. But now if I set this to transmit Polyphonic Aftertouch, now every individual key press will affect each of the 6 notes differently. But But it doesn't always have to go to filter. Granted, that's probably where it goes most of the time, but I can go to anything. So here's a little something crazy. I'm going to go, instead of to the low pass filter, I'm going to go to the high pass filter. So now it's going to get thinner as I press. And it could be to anything. It could be to vibrato, it can be to panning. Anything that you can assign a controller to, you can assign Aftertouch mono or poly to. So now let's move over to the Nanobox. So the Nanobox Lemondrop is a granular synthesizer. It lets me take samples and play loops within the samples and chop it up and play through the chopped up parts and move backwards and forwards, either with an LFO, or I can move it via controllers like Aftertouch. So now on the Lemondrop, and we're only hearing the Lemondrop, I have a drone sound in the background. And then when I do Aftertouch, I'm going to be bringing in actual speech and use Aftertouch to move around through those areas of speech. And I'm currently set to poly, so I'll be able to do it per note. So as you can see, there's a lot of power and a lot of potential in both mono Aftertouch and Polyphonic Aftertouch. If you have any questions about the ASM Hydrosynth, the Dreadbox Nymphes, or any of the Nanobox series, the Lemondrop or the Fireball, please contact your Sweetwater sales engineer. My name is Daniel Fisher. Thank you very much for watching.